We are currently live on YouTube.
All right, perfect. Good stuff. All right. Still letting some people come in. Those are rolling out of bed, their coffees, and we'll start in about 30 seconds. All right, so welcome to Mindy Day, the demo. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for joining us this morning. Every once in a while, a small company changes the game for everyone. And if you follow GovCon Giants, we've done it before. In 2017, with the launch of the YouTube channel, where I started making content about how to win government contracts. And the idea was just to share with people, right, my experiences that I learned winning contracts, starting from zero, scaling businesses, multiple businesses, scaling other people's companies. And then 2018, I launched the GovCon Giants podcast where I started interviewing the top small businesses across the country, establishing a network of more than 600 of the leadership of small businesses, C-suite executives, and then third-party assistant companies, lawyers, law firms, accounting firms, right? To the point where we're able to throw our own conference. 2018, we started teaching and training businesses, training over 7,000 of you guys on how to win government contracts, which spawned a whole new industry of influencers, YouTubers, social media personas going out and teaching different facets and different aspects of government contracting. And then in 2020, again, with the Federal Help Center, where we built a community of nearly 5,000 businesses where we were coaching and doing a lot of live training each and every day. And then that brings us to this year, 2026, a new revolution. We're doing it all over again. And for 7 years, what I've done is everything that we've built has lived across four different places. The channel where you learn for free and you're able to sit on basically online and just get a lot of information, gather that information, process it, do what you want with it. The courses where some of you guys signed up, thousands of you went in and followed self-paced courses, videos, content that you watched, learning about government contracts, how to execute, how to deliver. You looked at things like submittals, payroll, right? And again, we brought along with the courses and training something that we called the Vault, which had all of our templates, all of our proposal samples, winning proposals, winning market research reports, accident prevention plans, safety plans, things like that, that we were able to help facilitate to you. And then through the Federal Help Center, we built a network for everyone to come together and share in on that information, bringing a lot of my podcast guests, turning them into coaches, and being able to train you guys. And so, when you look at the numbers, right, we've actually did over 1,700 free training videos across the YouTube channel and platforms, 500 courses and lessons, academies, boot camps, proposal boot camps, Jumpstart Your Business boot camp, financial readiness boot camp, right? We've done it all. And then our podcast, nearly 800 episodes over the last 8 years. We've been consistent putting out content each and every week. And then a few years ago, we bumped it up to daily content. And then our live trainings, over 200 of them, just in 1 year alone, 176 hours across 12 coaches. And then the Vault templates, guys, document 125 folders of information, not documents, actual folders of guides, documents, how to fill out proposals, how to fill out agreements. And then inside, what we asked you to do at that time was take this information, take everything that we're giving you, and then essentially go to SAM, pull down the opportunities, go to USA Spending, research past contracts, go to FPDS, understand the competitive landscape, then put in your DSBS profile to figure out the keywords. Go to grants.gov if you want to find grants. Go to GSA eBuy if you want to learn about how they buy and their procurement process. By the way, then go to your agency forecast, pull down what's coming out in the future. And then when you want to talk to the customer, you should be going to GAO and the budgets tab. And so I do recognize that it was a challenge that we asked people to do this all essentially hand by hand. And it wasn't that I wanted to do it that way. It was just the only way at the time that I knew of to do things, right? And so uh, I taught you essentially the way that I did it, which was long, arduous, frustrating, and probably about 60 to 70% of you never really got that. And so ultimately, you weren't able to execute, you weren't able to fulfill, you weren't able to actually deliver in on the promise of being a government contractor. And looking back, I do recognize how difficult that was and how hard it was. And unfortunately, though, I didn't have a better plan or a better path for people. And so essentially, we had four things: the channel, YouTube, the courses, the network, community, and then the vault, right? And so they all essentially work hand in hand. And people would say, hey, go to the channel. Hey, did you go watch the course? Hey, are you part of the Federal Help Center network? Hey, did you go find the document in the vault? And then they would do the same thing over again. Hey, did you go to the channel? Hey, are you in the community? Hey, did you watch the course? Hey, did you get the information in the vault? And that was literally what we kept sending people around, right? From like the vault to the courses to the videos to the podcast, right? Does anybody recognize going through that process? Anybody going through that process with us, right? And so that's what we're doing. And so today, I'm not handing you four additional things. What we've done is we've now put all of that and every one of those websites and platforms into a singularized platform that we're calling Mindy. And so Mindy doesn't just show you how, it does it with you. And so before I show you Mindy and we start the actual demo, I want to paint like a bigger picture for you and why nothing else out there does what Mindy does. So a lot of us are familiar with the LLMs, right? And so again, I use ChatGPT, I use Claude, I use Gemini, I use all of them, and they are brilliant, right? But they're single purpose, right? They actually know nothing about your federal market, right? And they also tend to make things up. As you become more expert, more advanced on using these tools, you'll realize that they hallucinate a lot and they make up things and they invent things. And unfortunately, when you're in a space that we are all operating in, or some of you who are trying to operate in that space, you realize that how hallucinations and not being accurate will hurt you long term. So again, they're brilliant at what they do, but they're single purpose. The free tools that we've been teaching for the last 8 years, SAM.gov, USA Spending, FPDS got decommissioned. They have all of the data, right? But they have no intelligence. So you go to SAM.gov, it's got all the data in it, but it's just data. You go to USA Spending, the same thing. You can search historical contracts, you can search the database. It's wonderful for data, but there's no intelligence. So again, it's backward looking. It's clunky still. A lot of people still can't figure out SAM.gov. And so it's still information that you have to act on alone, right? And then when we look at some of the enterprise tools like Bloomberg Gov, GovWin, Deltek, and Uninet, they're super powerful tools, right? But for a lot of us, they're not built for us. At least they weren't built for me, right? And so a $25,000 a year, ERP complex, sales, like these things, the onboarding, $5,000 to $50,000 to integrate this into your systems, that is not feasible for the majority of the small businesses that I know. And actually, even some of the mid-sized companies, it's not practical because it does become a cost burden. And when things get tight, right, you rely on these tools. And so they're eating into your profits, they're eating into your contracts, they're eating into the value. But they're also not easy to use because again, we don't have, if you're not using Salesforce or have any reason to have an ERP tool, then it's overkill, right? Essentially, like I say, like trying to basically smash the ant with a hammer. The difference is all in one, simple, Mindy, grounded in real data, powerful as enterprise suite, easy as chat, built for small businesses, price for one. And so when we look at the landscape of the actual GovCon, what we call tool landscape, you'll see on this graph where I painted on the vertical axis, you'll see easy to use and hard to complex. And then on horizontal axis, you'll see singular purpose and all in one. And so on the left-hand side, where we get closer to single purpose, you'll see things like ChatGPT, SAM.gov, you'll say spending. And then on the right-hand side, we see all in one. You'll see things like GovDash, Bloomberg, GovWin, and Usenet, but they're also hard and complex, right? The integrations of it. So we like to classify ourselves as both easy to use and an all-in-one platform. And one of the biggest challenges that I see with everything that we've all been using previously, if you've ever been using any of these tools, is they all make you choose. And so what do I mean by that? So again, SAM.gov, it's data, but no brain. ChatGPT is brain, but no data, right? And so with ChatGPT, it's only as good as the information we put in it. ChatGPT on its own or any of the LLMs on their own do not come and say, hey, I know you, I know who you are, I know what you do, I know how to best help you. It's basically a brain that has no data. So you have to feed it that information and teach it and train the models, right? Which some people are good at, other people are not great at. The other thing is it's pulling from the entire world. So it is pulling from the entire world's database, entire world's information. And so again, that's good in the sense that it's got a whole bunch of information. It's bad in the sense that it doesn't have depth, right? It doesn't have specialized knowledge. With Mindy, you tell Mindy what you do, right? And we'll walk through a demo. You tell exactly what you do. Hey, I do restoration in Washington. I do drones in California. I'm a manufacturer. I make widgets. And then what it does is it essentially builds out a profile for you all in one box. So you no longer have to know what NAICS code should I be choosing, what PSC codes should I be choosing, right? What industry classification codes? Because again, even when you're on SAM.gov, you still need to know what codes that you should search in order to find the right opportunity. Whereas on Mindy, if you just tell me what you do or tell Mindy what you do, it finds the codes for you. It suggests certain codes, and then it fills out an entire platform of all the intelligence that you need in order to start building a pipeline, gathering customer data, understanding who buys what you sell, finding out where they buy it, finding out when their events are, when can you meet with them, industry days, any upcoming market research requests they have. All of that information gets filled out for you. So now all you have to do is actually execute on the things. Addition to that, it tells you like on the screen here, right? For this particular profile, your market is $2 billion. There's 100 industry classification codes. There's 51 buying agencies. There's 1,600 other contractors in space. There's 11 upcoming forecasted buys. There's 1,100 upcoming recompetes expiring. There's 1,100 opportunities out reserved right now for small businesses. There's 800 grant programs pulled across 28 data sources. So now you're armed and ready to go. By the way, if you have any questions, I know people are having questions, put them in the chat. I've got a couple people in the chat that are monitoring the chat. They're fielding the questions. And then when we open up for questions, I'll have it ready to go so I can start reviewing the questions. So again, as I'm talking about anything that may seem confusing or have questions about, put it in the chat. We've got some monitors that are monitoring this. They'll put it inside of a doc for me, and then I'll be reviewing them to go after shortly. All right. So the mini data core, this is where we're pulling from. Our knowledge rag base of 8 years of training content, boot camps, proposals, vault templates, opportunity corpus, 88,000, our contractor graph, 300,000, decision maker network, 125,000, spinning war intelligence, buy office graph. So this is essentially 34 sources equal our one core. So it's not a search tool. It's not a proposal writer. It's not a data dump. It's an intelligence platform, and that's why we call it Mindy, market intelligence delivered daily. So now let's actually open up and show you Mindy live with actual data. Just for context, Mindy is created based on 5 pillars: intelligence, pipeline, estimating, research, and the vault. Find it, price it, write it, win it, all in one platform. So intelligence, your market read for you every day, right? You should not need five tools to get one answer. Right? And that's what we all have been dealing with in the past, having to use all these different tools to essentially put together or construct, right, a framework for how are we going to approach this market with our businesses. Again, as a consultant for small businesses, I've had to do this and I continue to do this and I taught this. And it was hard. When someone hires me, we used to tell them that it would take 2 months before we can actually properly diagnose your market. 2 months, right? And it's because, again, one, they've got to get me all their customer data, but then pulling this information, we could do it in 40 hours, 60 hours, but then we have to run analysis against it. And again, this is prior to having any type of LLM systems. So we would pull this data, put it into Google Sheets, and then we would run analysis against it. And from there, we would then say, okay, we would literally look at it and analyze it. So we would take, put it in Google Sheets. I would do what was called pivot tables. And then I would run the actual analysis and say, okay, across these 3 years, this is the cross intersection of the agencies and offices that bought your services. And these are the trends that we see. But because we could only pull certain searches for certain years, right? That's where it became a challenge. We had to actually like manually review all the data. So let me switch over to Mindy and introduce the chat feature first and foremost. So I'm actually already logged in to my Mindy here, and you'll see on the sidebar. So we have Mindy chat. Now, Mindy chat is essentially, right? It draws from our podcast interviews, our real proposal templates, our 8 years of federal contracting teaching. All of that information is put into a chat box, right? And so again, here's like any other chat bot, they suggest questions for you, but you can essentially ask questions. And so like here in the past, I was just, if I want to sell drones, what PSC code should I use? Tell me about a product to sell. And what I'd like to do is when we open it up, I'd like to actually test real world users' questions in here, right? So you guys can actually see it at work. So I would like to do that. But for the purpose of going through the actual demonstration, here's some examples of responses that I've done in the past. So like, okay, how do I respond to a source of SOT? Here's an example. Now, what's good about this is that it also gives you reference documents, right, from where it sourced this information. So again, we have already built what we call a corpus, which is essentially the intelligence core that's trained on reviewing all of my podcasts with all the guest interviews. So it's funny because when I started doing the podcast, I wanted to like hear from successful businesses. How many other people like to hear from successful businesses, right? If you're getting into anything, you should learn from the best. I want to hear from them, and I wanted to know like what did they do? What was their secret sauce, right? Anybody else want to know like their secret sauce? Well, like anything, as it grows and grows and grows, and you get 500 episodes, 600 episodes, well, it becomes harder to listen to all the episodes. It becomes harder to know what to ask. It becomes harder to like catch up. So this is why when I looked at it, I thought, okay, how do we essentially give everyone all of this information in one unified place, right? So that's what we did, right? Let's see. Tell me about GSA schedule. And I got this stupid bar here. I'm trying to hide it. Give me 1 second. Um, okay, here we go. Okay. trucking. There you go. So if you were thinking about doing trucking, you say, hey, what's scheduled for selling trucking? Schedule 48, transportation delivery. Schedule includes vehicle transportation. Here are the NAICS codes, right? So again, um, and we'll go through and we'll do more of it later on, but having all of that information in there. So here's Sean Hartman from GSA. I interviewed him discussing GSA, procurement pioneers unveiling GSA. So as it sees you're asking about GSA, it starts to suggest documents that we have, podcast interviews that we did about the subject matter that you're asking. So essentially, again, 28 data sources behind every reply, one question, real life answers. Why you can trust it? Because essentially what we did was we put the LLM on the platform, right? We grounded it in real data sources. And so when we talk about using AI, generic AI tends to make things up. Leading AI is somewhere 58 to 88% on specialized questions. Even AI tools built for lawyers, 1 in 6 of the things are made up. So when you don't actually train it, power it with actual your fed information, then it tends to essentially make errors, right? But when it's grounded in a curated corpus, the error rate becomes sub 10%. Let's look at today's intel. Right now in our SAM database, we've cached over 88,000 opportunities. And so what it's doing is it's looking at all the opportunities, right, that are both, and I'll show you this, active, inactive, and then it's identifying based on, again, being trained on who you are, what you do, right? It's being trained on those things. So now it starts to search, and I'll show you this, and present to you this information every day. Some of you guys or girls who were in like my originally beta group, you might have been getting emails and alerts and briefings from Mindy. So I'm going to collapse the window. So this is what it looks like. So this is my profile. And in my profile, you can see my email, Eric at GovCon Giants. These are the NAICS codes that I'm searching. These are the keywords that I'm searching: renovation, construction, remodel, paint. And then every day, and you can set this up daily, weekly, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, on the weekends only, however you choose. It starts to learn you, know you, and starts to give you customized opportunities that match who you are, where you want to go, who your customers you want to try to target, how to target them, and I'll show you this, right? And so each individual person profile becomes customized. I'm going to say that again. Each person profile becomes customized to them. The more that you interact with it, the more that becomes customized. So, for example, like this opportunity says Veterans Affairs. I'm not a veteran. So I'm going to go in, I click the opportunity, it tells me what it is. I'm going to say it's a bad match for me. So now, as I continue to say it's a bad match, it's going to know that the Veterans Affairs is not a good match because I'm not a veteran, right? Other ways to tune it is you can say good match, not in my industry, too big, too small. I already knew about this, or more like this. And the AI behind it starts to understand the types of opportunities that you like. All right. Now, the other thing that we could do from this window is one, we can hide it, but we can also track it. By tracking it, it goes into a pipeline where we start tracking all of the opportunities that we're looking at, and we can decide how we want to move them across the pipeline. But at a high level, this is what I receive every day. So the idea is essentially you come in here, and this is where you actually start. Now, I'll show you an example. Here is what the email looks like. And so you'll get an email that says, hey, good morning. Mindy found 5 opportunities for you overnight. Here's your daily briefing for June 26. Top 5 opportunities to bid. By the way, notice somewhere there's 12 matched active opportunities, 12 RP/solicitations. Here's a janitorial services bid base plus 2 years with the VA, with posted date, response date, set aside for service-able veteran businesses. Here's another janitorial. And again, this is my other profile that I'm using to share. So I was looking up janitorial opportunities. So that's why I see it. Um, here's another janitorial services opportunity. This one, you have 14 days left. It's an RFP. Ease of entry. So what I'm doing is, because it's intelligent, we have already mapped out which federal agencies have more prevalence of spending with small businesses, which ones are more small business friendly, which one give out smaller contracts, simplified acquisition, micro purchases. And so we tend to surface that for you, this information. So that way, if you're having to make the decision between, right, you've only have limited time, limited resources, you could say, well, this is ease of entry, Department of Interior. This is where I want to invest my time and resources. Does that make sense to everybody out there? Yeah. All right. All right. Again, this one, European healthcare, simplified acquisition friendly. For those of you who are new to government contracting, simplified acquisition is the term that they use for opportunities that are less than $350,000. So means again, this favors small businesses, right? Or if you're a mid-sized business, you may see this say, no, I don't want to bid that because every time Dick and Harry is going to chase that opportunity. I want to focus on the non-simplified acquisition friendly, right? But most people, even large businesses, look at these things because they then want to partner with smaller businesses to go after opportunities. Again, here's another janitorial services contract. This one's simplified acquisition friendly. All right. It's covering Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana. And from here, you can go to SAM.gov. You can click not interested. Same thing. So I get these these emails every day. They turn into what we call briefings. And so you'll see my past day, the 26th, 25th, 24th, 23rd, and you'll see the briefings that it sent me the previous days. And so this is how we keep track of what's going on in our marketplace. And Mindy, the actual tool, does it for you. So now you get alerted and then you can decide, okay, there's nothing new in my market today. All right. And go back to whatever you're doing. Or you can start working on actually, customer facing activities. How do you get in front of the customer? How do you set up capabilities briefings? How do you go to an industry day, right? How do you go to an event where your customer is going to be at, or your potential customers that you want to work with are going to be at? So again, I know a lot of people that struggle with even setting up SAM.gov search alerts. I know a lot of people that struggle with understanding which of the industry classification codes that they should be covering. One of the things that we've built into Mindy is to eliminate you having to figure this stuff out. So my goal was that to train people less and for the tool to be more intuitive. I'm going to say that again. My goal was to have to train you less because the tool is intuitive. I'll give you an example. Right here at the top, it says you're tracking 75% of the renovation market. Okay. And so when I looked at my example, I used renovation, it shows me all the codes that are 100%, but then some of them don't necessarily align with my preferences. So if it's renovating a warship, well, I don't do warships. If it's renovating, I don't know, a pool, well, I don't do pools. So, but again, and you have the confidence to know that, okay, I do medical supplies. I want to make sure I capture the whole marketplace. How do I do that? And we do that for you. So again, in today's Intel, there's a couple of things that you'll see. Give me 1 second. This right here, where it says hot right now, this is essentially market research. So this surfaced up because other small businesses are looking at this market research and thinking about responding to say, hey, I'm a qualified small business that can do this opportunity. Right now it's showing that our two contractors are looking at this source of SOP. Similarly to when you are trying to buy an airplane ticket or when you're trying to buy a hotel and it says five other people are looking at this. Why is this helpful? I'll get to this towards the end. But the government itself uses market research, and I'm going to come down off the screen. The government itself uses market research to determine whether or not to set an opportunity aside for small businesses. The government uses market research as a way to determine to set opportunities aside for small businesses. Many of us, probably 90% of us, do not respond. Hence, the government does not set aside as many opportunities. Hence, not as many opportunities go to small businesses. So the idea is we want more people to start coming together, responding, saying, hey, I'm qualified, capable of doing this kind of work, so that the government knows, and then they start to set these opportunities aside for us. But because we're all using different tools, different platforms, and because, again, SAM.gov is great at data, but not intelligence, it can't tell you this, right? The government's incentivized to help us to come together and collaborate to work to create more opportunities for the whole, right? And so this is one of the features that I built in so that we can start to swing the pendulum and create more opportunities for all of us, not just a few of us. All right. So right now, it's scanning through 24,000 opportunities for you, finding ones that match you, and then sending them to you in your emails every day, and then putting them in your feed every day. All right. For those of you who are on a free alert system, you probably have seen this. I'll come back up. You've probably seen your source feed. And while it's pulling up, again, it looks very similar, right? Where it's sourcing opportunities for you, giving the information on it, giving the data, allowing you to open up SAM.gov and verify this information. So I've been very good about allowing people to validate, because again, I know a lot of people are still, this is new for you. You've never used any type of these tools. So you want to make sure that all this stuff is real, not made up. So we allow people to go in and verify all the things that we're showing them. It pulls down the information. So the response date, the due dates, the documents, the contact person, the email, right? It tells you what it is. You can read the synopsis, right? And again, we analyze these opportunities based on learning about you. The other thing that we do, it pulls down all the documents from SAM.gov as well. So you literally should not have to go on SAM.gov at all, with the exception of if you want to verify and validate any of the information, right? So again, for those of you who are on the free version, your feeds come into what we call the source feed, which will be essentially the raw SAM.gov matches that matches, your ultimate profile. All right. 88,000 opportunities, so you can find the right one. We are also storing the opportunities for SAM.gov so that we can have essentially a database of all this information, and we can start looking at historically what they've done, what they called it, so that we can start helping people build out better profiles so that the government can discover them more often when they're doing market research. So unfortunately, for most of us, it's really hard to build a strategy working out of 50 tabs. And that's why we created what's called the market dashboard. A dozen of essentially exports and one whole shot. So I'm going to go back to Mindy right here, just below our source. We have our market dashboard. And what this is this is all of the opportunities that are available to me based on my criteria, right? So you'll see the codes that I chose, the keywords that I chose, the coverage areas that I chose. And so right now, actively, there are 94 active opportunities, 31 doing 7 days, 45 solicitations, 13 sources SOTs. Here are the top agencies. And so here are basically all of the opportunities. This is a lot. Now that's my profile. Let's click on all SAM. Right now, active in SAM, there's 9,000 opportunities, 4,000 due in the next 7 days, 3,000 solicitations. Again, a lot of stuff to go by, right? But I'm going to go back to my profile and I'm going to look at just the ones on my profile, the 94 active. And again, from here, we can do several things, right? If I click like this Civil Air Patrol Mobile Remediation Project, I click open up. Here are the points of contact. Here are the phone numbers, the emails. Here is the actual synopsis. Here are all the documents from SAM.gov, right? That's in it. Here's a deadline date. It's due tomorrow, which doesn't make any sense, but hey, it was posted on June the 15th. Its deadline is the 28th. I'm assuming they're going to probably do an extension, but maybe not. We have to send out Catrice an email. But does everyone see how I didn't search anything? It's already loaded for me. All the people's information. I can literally call Catrice from my computer here, right? Hold on one second. All right. Is that better, Brad, for the mic? I heard the question about the mic. Now look at my phone. Is that better, Brennan? Is my mic okay? I heard somebody had a question about the mic.
I said yes. I said yes. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm
All
connected.
right. So this one's better or the other one or this?
This one currently.
Okay. All right, cool. Patrick Cohen, welcome, brother. All right, so going back now again, this is saved to my profile. And now we go in here, we can click on, like, for example, I click this opportunity. You'll see it's a combined synopsis. I got a scope of work for it. Here are the contacts. Here's a solicitation number, notice ID. Here are all the documents. And again, with like everything I do, if you want to verify it on SAM.gov, you can verify it on SAM.gov. You'll see the 4 documents here, and you'll see you'll see all the information. So, like I said, I know a lot of people are very skeptical about tools. So I want to make sure that you still can, until you get comfortable, right, go in and check all this stuff on SAM, right? So I understand the hesitancy for some people might be old school and they're like, hey, I don't really know if I missed anything, right? So this is a way to do that. Now, from here, this is our dashboard, but from here, a couple things. We could start adding this and start tracking these opportunities and adding them to our pipeline so that later on we can, right, to craft responses, notify team members, identify partners, identify the agencies, and align ourselves with what they're trying to do. This is interesting because look at this. This is actual OTA for a project proposal. I'm going to track this because I was just talking about this recently where the government is starting to put out OTAs for construction. And here is a construction NAICS code 236220. And here's an OTA request for project proposal. So I'm going to track that for me because that's what we do. But again, just really quick, get a chance to see all in one shot here, the opportunities in that particular session. So on screen, one glance, you start adding it to your pipeline, right? And again, in the past, we used to take this information from SAM.gov, right? This is what we would do. We would take, how many people still probably do this, right? You take this information, SAM.gov, and you download the documents, and then you got to put them in a folder somewhere to then upload them someplace else. Anybody does that? Anybody? Or does everybody do that? I mean, right? Right? Like, I think everybody does it right now, right? So, we're here. We already have, I'm looking for some documents. Okay, design, build, cover parking for the specs. Here's an attachment, right? That's already in here. Okay, and I'm going to show you this. I'm going to track this one, cover parking structure. So this is now added to my pipeline. The documents add to the pipeline. The contacts are added in my system. All the information is added. I don't have to go back and do anything else, right? And really quick, I'm going to get there. but I'll just kind of give you guys a teaser, right? So now you'll see this stuff that we're looking at, this OTA here, right? It's already added to my pipeline. Here's all the documents already there in my pipeline. So everything is there, everything is saved, it's already on my system. I don't have to go and like do anything else. All right. So let's keep going and we'll come back and show you how the pipeline works. So stop running BD out of a spreadsheet that dies in a drawer. Again, I've done it for years. It works. It's not that it doesn't work. It all works, but I've also missed opportunities before. Has anybody else lost deals because they lost track? Anybody else they can't keep up? What was that one bid that I was going after that we saw it on there and I can't see it again? And I put it in a computer and I sent it to the person, right? Not having the information on when this stuff expires, when it's due. And again, a Google sheet that you forget to update, right? This is all stuff that we did. I literally have clients right now that I meet with every single week just to look at this information. Like we have meetings to look at the Google sheet to make sure it's updated, so to make sure that they can keep track of it, to make sure that they can follow up on the things that we do. Anybody else does stuff like that? Right? So now, again, every bid that you're chasing, let me take down some of the SAM.gov stuff, right? So now under my pursuits, you'll see here everything that I'm chasing right now, okay, organize. And then let me just change it over to the board. So right now, I just start highlighting this, so I'm tracking it. And then we can start moving stuff into pursuing, right? And then we could move stuff into bidding. So let's put this OTA one. Where's it at? Let's move that over to bidding. All right. And now that's under bidding, right? And so again, we could move these things through our pipelines. And then after we move them through our pipelines, like you see this OTA one, we can actually start working on drafting a proposal from there. So I went from looking at my dashboard of opportunities, adding it to my pipeline. It carries over all the documents, all the context, and then we could go into actually putting together a response for that document. By the way, we haven't downloaded anything. We haven't downloaded anything. We haven't had to move it into a folder, then upload it to ChatGPT, then train ChatGPT on how to review it. Have, the information, it knows you, okay, but have it not hallucinate. Again, we'll walk you through this. But ultimately, we move things from track to pursue to bid to submit it. And then we kind of just move stuff through the pipeline. Ultimately, it's what we do, right? And then I'll show you that coming up, right? But essentially, this is where we track all of our pursuits. This is the place where this becomes your new Google Sheet. This is where we actually track everything that we're pursuing, so that when we do win, right, then we could take and hand it off cleanly to the team that's going to be executing. And I'll show you how we do that. Well, so the CRM essentially took a weekend to build, right? My target list, can't win alone, but who do you call, right? So again, for me, I'm a big fan of outreach. I'm a big fan of talking to the government, talking to the customers, getting in front of them, letting them see your face. I literally just had a meeting this past week with a guy who I met at an industry day. And I first met him because we were working on a project up in Rhode Island, and he was our project manager. And so, we did that project. It was a small project, nothing big. And then I met him again. I was at an industry day and I went to go talk because these were one of the customers that we want to work with. And this particular office, I didn't want to say the name, but they're a division of the Navy. And so from there, he goes, "Hey, Eric, oh my gosh, it's so good to see you again. I've moved jobs and I've been relocated and promoted to this new role where, he's over, the team that decides on contractors. Hey, reach out to me, and let me know. We've got some opportunities up here. We're looking for some new vendors." I reach out to them. Our team sets up a meeting. Next thing you know, right? they start giving us small projects to try us out, and then they become bigger and bigger and bigger. And that started off with the relationship. 90% of the work that we do is comes from relationships. When we're bidding projects because of relationships we have. We're negotiating projects because of relationships we have. And I know that a lot of people like to bid blindly, but I do encourage you to, again, at least try and establish a relationship with government officials, because that's going to help you go further over the long term. So I'm a big proponent of that. So when we go here, I'll show you right now. And under my pipeline, under my target list, right now, under this profile that I created, I'm tracking 21 different agencies. So you can see here some of the offices I'm tracking: Army Sustainment Command, Drug Enforcement Agency, Air Force Lifecycle Management, NOAA, Public Building Services, Federal Acquisition Services, Coast Guard, right? So I'm tracking these agencies, and I'll show you how I did that. But what I did was, again, and thinking about the logic of how small businesses can best utilize a tool, an intelligence tool, is when you start tracking an agency, right? And I teach everybody, hey, go figure out who buys what you sell, right? Everybody's heard that before. If you've been on any experts, they say, go figure out who buys what you sell, right? All right, I did it. Okay, now I find out who buys what I sell. What do I do next? Oh, you got to go meet with them. Well, how do I do that? Well, where do I go? Oh, look at industry day events. Look at conferences, right? All right. So now I've got all this list of who buys what I sell, these agencies. Now I have to go out and search all the events that they're at and all the conferences they're going to be at. I get it. That is hard. It's really hard to do. And most of us just want a contract. Anybody out here just want a contract? You just give me a contract. I just want to do my job. I'm good at cybersecurity. I'm good at training. I'm good at setting up, learning management systems. I don't care about all this other stuff, right? Right? You're like, I don't care about none of this stuff. I just want to work. I understand. And again, these are things why people would put me on high retainers to do this, because they go, Eric, I have more money than time, and I don't have time to figure all this stuff out. So you go figure it out. I'll pay you a monthly fee. You just tell me who it is, tell me where to be at, where to show up, and then I'll show up. Anybody who wants to do that like that, is that a better approach for a lot of people out here? Certainly a better approach for me. So that's what we did, right? Once you start identifying your target agencies, and I'll show you how to do that, right? We give you all the upcoming events that they're going to be participating at. Now, they don't necessarily match with what you do, but at least you can see them all in one place and you can decide which ones apply to you. So for this particular engineering district, they've got 51 upcoming events: nuclear storage industry day event that may not apply to you. They've got a virtual industry day event for this recapitalization program that may not apply, but you can see it. You don't have to go seek it out, and it's built in to your list. So then now you can say, okay, this matches me, this matches me, right? And so you can now do that with every single agency that you start to track. The other thing that we talk about, market research. Market research is twofold. Market research, yes, helps small businesses, helps the government find out if their small business is capable of doing the work. The other thing it does is it allows you to start having communications with government prior to them putting out solicitations and projects. And this is the way that I get in the door. So we start sharing with you, for who you're tracking, any outstanding source of RFIs that they have that may potentially apply to you, so that, again, you have this information. You can start responding to those if this is your target. Contacts. So again, we start pulling up directory of the contacts. So for example, here's the 5 people that you want to find, right? The contracting officer, small business specialist, program manager, end user, technical leader, engineer. Here's a small business specialist for this particular small business programs for this group to help you start to gather that information. So what we've done is I've said, okay, we are giving you everything in one place that you need to be efficient at just doing your job and executing. The only thing will be left for you to do is execute. That's it. Execute, right? You won't have to go seek it out, find it, search for it, right? Have it in all kinds of places. I can show you what my Manila folders looked like before when I used to do all this stuff, pulling information. But prior to this, just on the events alone, right? That was someone's job. Because if I'm tracking 21 different agencies, their offices, right? Or sub agencies or contract or commands, someone's job was to literally go find me all the events for them. That was a person's job. I had no way of tracking all the market research requests they had because I didn't have a way to sort and filter through that. I wasn't that smart. And I certainly didn't have a way to go find all the contacts, right? That was going through their websites. Just go through all the websites, see what you find, call people. So this is part of what we were teaching people on previously. And today we put that all under one place in your pipeline under my target list, right? Who to team with, who to call. Right now, there's over 317,000 contractors on our database, 125,000 government officials in our database. When it comes to estimating, staffing, putting bodies in there, right? One of my friends who actually happens to be here on the call, I think one of his very first projects, he had a challenge with pricing, right? That was his challenge of what do I charge? What are the rates? If you're new to government contracting and you're charging a commercial rates, that may not apply to the government's rates, right? And so again, looking at until you understand this, until you start to get the feel for it, right? How do you start pricing and filling out, right, the wage determinations for people? So under here, what we did was, again, we put this everything in a unified dashboard. So if I'm staffing up, let's say, again, I'm a construction guy, so you always will see me use those examples, right? So if I'm staffing up, what it does is GSA, basically anybody that's on GSA schedule, all their information is already categorized. And so we used to use this cool tool called GSA Calc. And on GSA Calc, you can put in whatever the person does, the type of jobs, and then what it will do is it will essentially give you the rates at which the government has already agreed to pay for these things. And so what we did was we put that in here for everybody to have so that you could just essentially search it in the platform. Again, not have to go to another platform, search this information, and now you can figure out the rates at which to price your jobs. And again, it analyzed 54 records, competitive bid rate $74 an hour, small versus large cap 40%, small business wins on rates, top 9 vendors found, superintendent, foreman, project superintendent, construction manager, superintendent. And here are the vendors that essentially some of the top vendors that we have records on publicly. Again, what I like to say is this is all grounded in real data. This is not AI. I want people to understand that. This is real data, okay? The AI does the thinking piece, but the data itself is grounded in factual, actual data, right? So again, we could do this because when you start getting into more negotiated projects, we have to show our rates. We have to show our spreadsheets. We're negotiating with the government on a lot of the smaller deals. We basically open up and say, hey, these are the rates that we're charging for certain things. And you have to have a way of justifying them. And so here is how we essentially start to show people how we justify those rates. All right. So again, bid with numbers, not a hunch, real world history, whereas generic AI proposals are filling out fake UIs, weeks of writing, placement holder drafts. So this is probably what a lot of people want to see. Okay. As we're moving down the line. We went from the chat to today's intel to the dashboard to pursuits target list. So our proposal assist tool. Again, I put this caveat in there, right? This is a starting draft, not a finished submission. So again, you want to review, edit, add your own proof before you actually finally submit. But it's pretty darn good, if I have to say so myself. So um, let's pull up an example here. So as you saw, when we start tracking everything, they essentially fall into it came from our saved pursuits list. So if you remember up here before in our pipeline, right, we have things that we're already tracking. So that automatically gets carried down into here. And so now I'll show you on the Civil Patrol 1 mobile remediation. I'm going to open up my workbench. And what it did already was, remember, we carried the 4 documents here. So the 4 documents are already in here. All right. So they're already in here. A couple things that what we used to teach people that, again, my idea is let the tool be intuitive so I don't have to teach you as much, because these were things that I used to teach: bid, no bid, compliance matrix. Anybody ever heard those terms before? Right? Make sure you do a bid, no bid, so you're not wasting your time. Make sure you do a compliance matrix, make sure you're compliant. So first thing that we do the same process for the businesses. So bid, no bid. Should you pursue this? The offers are due on June 28th, 1 day out. Can you submit a quality response in time? Right? Can your team actually perform this scope if it's outside of core capability? This is a lot easier scope to do. So this is not hard. Oh, it looks like I pulled this already. We'll pull another one later. And then from the actual compliance matrix. So for those of you who don't know what a compliance matrix is, a compliance matrix is that essentially when you're pulling through, just to give you an example, right? So here there's 4 documents that we've extracted. There's 75,000 characters across 20 pages in these documents. So I know I've already pulled across all of the characters, all the pages. I know the word count. So we've extracted the 75,000 characters in the pages. And then from there, what we were able to do was, and again, I know people don't care about that, but I'm just showing you for the people who care about the logic behind it. We search the document and we look at what is required for us to submit. And so, for example, we'll see here, section C, provide proof of qualifications, insurance, OSHA. That's no problem. You must be currently certified in mold remediation. That might disqualify some people. That falls in a technical draft. You should have current certifications in mold abatement, remediation. Again, that falls in a technical draft. Provide documentation of current relevant certifications for all key personnel. That's pretty easy to do. Reps and certs, again, easy to do. You're going to be evaluated for completeness against your scope of work requirements. Great. You should handle hazardous waste according to environmental protection statement. So what this does is it looks at the different sections of the proposal. It identifies the things that you need to be aware of so that when you finally submit your final proposal, that you don't miss any of these things that would eliminate you from actually being awarded the contract. All right. I know people have questions on this. So let me show you real quick. I want to show you how the actual proposal assist tool works. And I'm going to show it to you. I have 2 modes. I have what's called auto mode and then a manual mode or sport mode. Auto mode basically means it does everything for you in the background. You don't worry about how it does it. On the manual mode, you take more control over how you'd like to work on this proposal. So this reminds you a lot like any type of LLM interface. And so what it does is it pulls in the documents that we had. It also pulls in what we call our proposal corpus. So our proposal corpus is our successful winning proposals, our successfully winning things that we've submitted in the past. This is what we built winning volumes on, how to write. We've trained it. So it's pulling from that. It's pulling from the documents that came off SAM.gov. And then it's pulling from your vault, which is your past performance, your history, everything that you've built into Mindy under your profile. It's pulling from those sources. And so I showed you this model because I want you to see how it works. I want you to see like the back engine. So So again, if you want to type anything out, summarize the key evaluation criteria. All right. So here you go. Technical acceptability offers to evaluate on pass fail basis. That's important to know. Pass fail basis means, right? You either pass or fail. Okay. The completeness of the detailed remediation plan, minimum requirements to skip work, the document, government evaluate reasonable price evaluation processes. All right. So when is site visit? Site visit was scheduled for June 23rd. So again, now, which again, these are all things that I used to do manually. Imagine if you're sitting at the desk and people go, Eric, when's the site visit? I would go through the proposal, scan the thing, and be like, okay, the site visit is this date, right? And so again, these are all things that now we're able to answer right away, and we're able to give the information to whomever on our team that needs it. We can have it without actually scanning the documents. And also, by the way, without having to download it from SAM, upload it to another platform, and then do all this stuff. It's all baked in. All right. The other thing that we've done, which I think, again, I think is pretty cool, is we're able to pull out, extract the scope of work. So if you want to send out to subs, so I'll show you guys here. So like, I will, let me do a Mindy demo file for you guys. Keep asking questions, by the way. All right. So let me go up and I'll show you what it did. All right. So it created a statement of work for you to give out to subcontractors. So again, this is the stuff that I do normally. So I'm already thinking about my workflow, right? How do I work, right? All right, I'm not the mold guy, but I want to send it to the mold guy, right? What do you send the mold guy? Do you send the whole package? The guy don't care about the whole package. He's like, all right, send me the scope of work. Let me see if I could something I could do. So we went ahead, we extracted the scope of work. So now you can take this, send it right to the mold guy. Hey, this is scope of work. Is this something that you can do? Again, speed, efficiency, right? I know that we all have limited resources, time, money, energy, you know? So again, and thinking about all that kind of stuff, I've taken that in consideration. So we drafted a scope of work. We went through and I showed you guys kind of how we could search things inside of the actual chat that is specific to that proposal. And then let's go back over here to auto mode and I'll show you, right, as we scroll down, all right, how, well, actually we can start drafting different sections of the proposal, right? So these amber numbers, right, they map out requirements to the different sections. So let's click draft executive summary. We'll all cross our fingers. Let's hope it doesn't crash on me. But so as it's doing that, again, I showed you on the other screen where it's pulling from the information, right? So it's thinking, it's working through it. Keep asking questions in the chat because it is, again, it's having to review the document, having to review our proposal corpus, and then also if you have any information in the vault, it's reviewing that. So this is the AI component of everything. But because we're pulling from real world documents, real world actual, like the actual physical things that I showed you, the text, the characters, all that stuff, we should get a response that's grounded in a lot of truth. All right, executive summary. General Service Administration is committed to ensuring safety and health facilities. Hold on. Sorry. Um, Safety and health of the facility, particularly addressing issues related to mold contamination and current solicitation for mold remediation. Efforts is a critical component for maintaining that environment by selecting a qualified contractor effectively manages da 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 da. GovCon Giants Canary, that's my code name, is uniquely positioned to deliver comprehensive mold remediation services tailored to the specific needs of GSA, our proven expertise, da 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 da. Understanding the agency's mission and specific problem, we encompass the stewardship of federal properties, ensuring that they're safe, stable, and conducive to effective operations. This poses significant health risk and can lead to costly damage if not addressed promptly. The need for effective remediation in this building is underscored by the potential impact of health personnel, operations, readiness. We offer to do da 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 da. Okay. All right. So a couple things so that's good. We can download this and put it into a document. And we could go to the technical section and we could draft the technical section, right? We go to the management section, draft that, right? And so we could draft section by section. We can also draft the entire proposal, right? Again, because it's pulled from documents, it does, it takes some time to draft a whole proposal when it's reading through a bunch of documents. So I'll just show you like the technical section. But towards the end, as we have more time, I'll be happy to show you the one click draft. Personally, this is how I actually write proposals. I build it out section at a time. I don't think anybody actually writes an entire proposal in one shot. So again, I think, for the purposes of how usability, this is how I would recommend people use it, right? And the idea is, right, we're giving you the baseline, we're giving you the draft. So from there, you can put in your specifics, your details, and any other thing that might stand out that would make it distinguish you from the next person. But again, I'll show you in the backdrop how we do that. We've actually already been successful at proving this when we created another tool where we were making LinkedIn content for people. So we've already been successful at proving we can make unique content specific to you based on whatever you populate this with. So it's working on a technical draft right now. How's this? How are we doing? Good? We liking it so far? Right? Hopefully lots of questions answered. Yeah? Good? All right. All right, good stuff. All right, all right, just finished up technical approach. All right, so the technical approach, 1,600 words. Program risk and mitigation strategies. The primary technical risk associated with mold remediation for this building at max surface space is potential for inadequate containment and removal of mold, which leads to health hazard, non-complicated regulatory standards. To mitigate this, we will employ these standards, ensuring that our remediation process are compliant with industry best practices. Our team conduct comprehensive inspections prior to remediation, use moisture detection equipment to identify hidden mold sources, scheduled risks, integration risks, work breakdown structure, technical approach by requirements. So again, it read the requirement and it built your technical approach based on the requirements. And I did not have to go on SAM and I didn't have to download anything. And I didn't have to upload anything. And I didn't have to train AI on my stuff, anything. It's already built into there, right? So again, we could do the same thing for each one of the sections and it'll produce very similar results based on that. So let's see at the very end, just so I can show you guys. So we don't think this is some kind of made up. All right. So here, let's scroll back up a little bit. All right, technical approach by requirement. So proof of qualification and assurance, removal and remediation of building materials, detailed remediation plan, compliance with industry standards, labor materials and tools, services. So again, we addressed all the requirements. And if you think about it, it goes back to, right, this particular checklist, making sure that you address these things. So again, we are trying to ensure that for people who have, again, less time and less availability of resources, that you could still be responsive you can still participate in the federal government marketplace and you're not hindered based on your resources. So now we've got a draft. Instead of having a draft that hallucinates numbers, it's actually reading your information. Now, finally, market research, right? One of the biggest challenges that I see, even to this day, and I'm willing to bet there's 98 people watching it. I don't know how many people are watching it online at home, but there's gonna be thousands of people who watch this video. You guys and girls, and even I've made the mistake, you are literally missing out probably on 70+% of your marketplace because the codes that you've chosen, which are ones that you know of, are excluding other codes inside of the market. I'm going to show you an example of that right now through our essentially market research side. So on the market research side right now, um, let's choose, and again, I have some examples I've created in the past, like medical supplies. I'm trying to think. Janitorial supplies. I'm going to try something. I never tried this one. So let's see what it does. So now if you just say, hey, Eric, I want to do janitorial supplies. Cool. As you saw instantly, it said, here are the NAICS codes to apply. Here are also the PST codes to apply, right? And so most of us have no idea how to even find that. You would not even, you're like, how do I find my NAICS code? How do I know if I got the right one? How do I know if I'm missing something? How do I know, like, how do you know PSC codes? Right? So you're trying to read and interpret, like, what is this industry classification code and how does it make sense? And so I can do two things. Now, again, this is an example, but it says these codes will be applied, verify if they fit, right? So I'm going to use this just to show you guys like how to build out, do market research. I could save them to my profile and then update my profile with these new alerts. So if you want to expand, right, and you want to like, hey, like my friend Tony that sold tires, he was like, yeah, I want to sell tires, but then he wanted to start actually doing tire disposal. So he expanded his market from just selling tires to tire disposal. This is how you like start to expand your market. I'm just going to do this as an example. So I'm going to use this to build out what we call a market map. So I did that. It preloads the codes in there. And then I'm going to start building out what we call a market map. And so what it's doing is it's essentially going to, I'll show you a couple things, what it does. So still searching. Right now, this is what I just did for you guys who are in janitorial supplies. Hope this helps someone. Right now, it says federal buyers categorize what you bought, right? Not who sold it and the next code. So it categorizes it based on what they bought, PSC, award, title, keywords, not who sold it, next, finished industry. Your rankings follow keyword supplies, next, below, or set aside eligibility only, not ranking. They rank across 90% of this market, 35 out of 95 vendor codes. What's actually bought? Marine, life-saving, and diving equipment. Okay. So this is sort of supplies, establishment, wholesalers, instrument. Does that apply to you? You get to determine that, right? So again, what we start looking at is which one of these codes fits in your area. Office supplies, facility support services, STEM and air conditioning supplies, service establishment supplies, cleaning and polishing components, right? So it searches up and then you determine now which one of those more suitable to what you're attempting to do, right? As opposed to like here, marine, I don't know if you sell marine life-saving equipment. Does that cut under your supplies? So what I done is rather than you trying to like Google all the different codes, we give you all the codes and the range of what we're trying to assert what you are doing, like supplies, and then allow you to choose which codes. And then based on the ones that you choose, right? it says, here are the teaming candidates for you. Here are the tier two subcontractors for you. Here are the 10 1 primes for you. Here's the spending by top agencies for you, right? It starts to build that out. Here are some agencies. Now I'm tracking all these agencies. Here's some agencies that buy that. And so that you can start tracking DLA. Okay. Right. And this is how we start to build out our target list of customers. Does that make sense to everybody? And again, I know it's a lot of information in a short period of time, so we'll definitely be open for questions. But ultimately, this is how we start to build that out for people, right? Um, I've seen time and time again that people say to me, and this is a very common thing. They say, well, Eric, I don't see any government bids for what I do. Anybody ever said that before? Right? Say, Eric, the government, I'm looking on SAM, I don't see no bids. Right? And yeah, I know. I, again, I know. Right? So why is it that you don't see any bids? So I'll show you why. Because you're looking in the wrong places, right? You're looking at what is currently listed on SAM.gov. I've said this before, SAM.gov shows you only a small fraction of the opportunities for the entire marketplace. There's a couple places that you're not looking when you say that to me, and I'm going to show you those right now. So the first one is you're not looking in one, future opportunities or upcoming buys. So this is where we're tracking what's coming out in, for example, 2026. So we just updated this information last week. We pulled out 9,000 upcoming buys. Again, my profile is saved across all of the different tabs inside of Mindy. And it shows me here, I have 8 upcoming buys, right, that are related to my criteria that I chose up here. All right. So again, when you populate your information, it goes across all of the different places in the dashboard, and it gives you all the pertinent information that you need to have to make decisions to find these things that you're saying. The other place that your opportunities might be hiding at is under expiring contracts. Does everybody know what expiring contract is? Probably not. Expiring contracts are essentially the government likes to buy in bulk. They like to buy over multi years, right? With one single contract where they select, depending on the size, they can select 2 to 3 vendors, they can select 10 vendors, they can select 50 vendors. And so a lot of times, typically, just a typical person that tries to do government contracts, they're only looking at the one place, which is the SAM.gov solicitations. They're not seeing that the government's already awarded contracts for what you do. They're outstanding. Here is the list of contracts. Hold on one second. Here's the list of contracts that already the government has awarded with companies on them. Look, here's an IDIQ with Sedona NASCO joint venture, okay, in Alabama, right? They've got 156 days left. But guess what? They're likely already doing projects now that you're saying that you're like, hey, I don't see anything that's bid because they already have the contracts, they already have the vehicles, they're already working on those places. And so these are the people right now that are getting the calls for this kind of work that you're trying to get. Here's one, engineering services contract, IDIQ out of Florida. This company, Gryphon Technologies, won it. Expires in 20 days. So here it gives you the contract values, gives you the NAICS code, it tells you when they expire. It tells you who has it, the incumbent information, right? And so again, gives you all the details on it. And then if you want to verify it, and you'll say spending, like I like to do everything that I do, I take you there so you can actually verify all of the actual information. Like I said, it's grounded in real life stuff. This is not AI guessing or making up an IDIQ or an IDV or any of this stuff. This is all grounded in actual data. So for those of you who said, Eric, I don't see anything for my marketplace because they already put out a contract for that. Somebody is already doing the contract. And so now it becomes incumbent upon you to find out who are the vendors on that vehicle and reach out to them. Now, ideally, what I want for everybody that's on this call today is I want you guys to be preparing yourselves to either be on a team for the future contract or be the prime. So what we want to do is we're aware of these things are existing. We can start tracking them, right? Okay, we can start signing partners for them. We can move to capture for them, right? We can start researching the agency. So we can start taking actions now to prepare. Again, this may not be the way that the majority of you guys use this particular features. And I can't wait to hear how people start using this. But for me, these are all the things that I do for clients that hire me. Okay. This is how when clients hire me and I map out an entire GovCon landscape, this is what it looks like. So when people hire me, they're like, Eric, hey, listen, you guys just do it all for me. And that we used to call BD in a box. Now, essentially, Mindy is BD in a box for all of you. And I will tell you, right? We built similar things like this in the past where people are using this to go out and get clients, and they're not telling them they're using software tools like Mindy, but they're charging the same fees and rates that they did when, again, essentially they had to do all the hard work, but now they're using the tool to do all this information. So again, I'll be very curious of how people use it moving forward. This is going to be exciting for me. So, as we start wrapping up, again, 2026 forecasted buys, 9,000 recently, 80% are recompetes, expiring contracts. I just showed you that, right? 12 18 months early, 80% of the position before the competition, right? Because that's the amount of recompetes there are. Contracts are not the only place where there's money at. Federal grants also, for those of you who may not know, the government spends just as much money in grants as they do contracts, right? The first company that I helped that was an 8A company when they were in financial trouble. The first thing we did was not actually get them a contract, but we got them a grant. And so I got them a CDBG grant, and that shored up their business to actually do contracts. So we do have that built into the system that, again, you see it says for me versus newest opportunities. So you can start tracking. So for me right now, there's 25 that, again, we're trying to help you figure out what matches. And that's where I keep talking about the intelligence piece, right? Understanding who you are, understanding your business, understand where you at, where you want to go, what you're trying to do. And then now actually putting that intelligence behind all of this to make your job easier. So who's the competition? Who's the partner? We've got on here contractors database. We'll just kind of go through, and I've already had this in here 317,000 contractors, all the big companies that you know of, right? Their information on their contracts, their history, right? What they're doing. And then from there, like you see here, the recent awards they've had lately. We've got in here also decision makers from government agencies, 112,000 of them. I'm sorry, 147,000 right now and counting. The information is always being refreshed. And then I'll go into the vault. I know people are excited to ask questions. This is what I was talking about with the proposal corpus. So with the vault is where you, like, see, I put in GovCon Giants Canary, and I put that in just so I could distinguish like my name when I do proposals, vertical construction, AA plans. I wrote this in here to make up just a fake UEI, but this is where you could put in some of your past performance, capabilities, key personnel, documents, and then this is what helps when you're putting together that proposal side on the assist. This is the other place that it's pulling from is this vault, right? And then lastly, we do, for people who have teams, we have team access where we can do essentially multiple teams where you can share in on the screen, right? And now you can have 3, 4, or 5 people being able to go into these dashboards and to see on the same panels, proposals, whatever you're working on. And then clients. So this is for people who have customers. So for example, like I have customers that I work with that I want to create a new profile for them, but see all of it underneath my particular profile. So here I can work under Excel Construction. That's one of my customers. And then you'll see here, Excel Construction, they have a different side of next codes. They have different areas that they're chasing. Let me just kind of give you an example, right? So they're chasing Connecticut, Mass, Maine, New Hampshire. So again, I can work underneath, I'm working as client Excel construction profiles, right? So I can switch between profiles. And then when we come to our settings is where essentially we change everything in our profiles. So who we're targeting, our codes, the marketplace, the areas that we're search, and everything like that. So essentially, everything that is put into one, right? Submit to the void, no name, having a full rosters of government decision makers by office, having over 100 and now 147,000 people to call and keep building, having the vault of 7 years of templates and the formula now inside AI, where generic AI doesn't know your company, doesn't know your information, having all that data and AI that you can't see now, having this put into a single place in the vault that I just showed you guys. And so you ultimately become part of the corpus. And so again, one platform, the whole pursuit, find it, price it, write it, win it, all grounded in real world data. Now, something that, that I want to talk about before we close up and open it up for questions is this idea, and I've been talking about this for a long time when I have my conferences. Our mission has been to reverse the shrinking industrial base. So the number of small businesses winning federal work continues to collapse. And so for me, Mindy exists to help turn that around. Right now, the collapse, 58,000 small businesses won a federal prime contract in FY 2022. That was fewer than a half of a decade ago, right? The number is closer to 120,000 small businesses a decade ago. And DoD alone, that's been a drop of 70%. 70, right? So I want to paint this picture for people listening to this. There were 120,000 small businesses serving our government a decade ago. There's now 58,000, which is less than half. Okay, let that sit with you guys because as we become more and more reliant on fewer and fewer companies, that does a couple things. One, obviously, it makes us not as strong as a nation, makes us dependent on a few entities. And then also, it doesn't give taxpayers the optionality of choice. And also, it's not probably a good fiscal way because I'm sure that as you have less and less choices, things become more and more expensive. And so the taxpayers ultimately are shelling out the bills for these things. Why is this important? A couple of things, and this is how it applies to you guys right here. Yes, right now, 51% of solicitations are solicited for small businesses, about 48% for full and open. And there's a whole nother percent that don't even make it on there. But just for the numbers that we can visually see. However, only 20% of federal dollars actually reach what they're calling small business. There are caveats to that. But for a rough number's sake, let's say small business win half the bids, but barely a quarter of the money. The concentration is at the top. $47 billion to Lockheed Martin alone. 30% of the Pentagon goes to just 5 primes. And so where we have $183 billion, right, for small businesses, that goes across 58,000 companies we're left to fight about, right? So the government has goals that they meet. They talk about their goals, 23% of small businesses. They quote unquote achieved it with 28% of the money going there. But one is that they hit the dollar goals by crediting companies that win full and open competition bids. What the government's actually soliciting is far fewer than what they're taking credit for. I'm going to say this again. What they're soliciting in terms of actual posted in SAM.gov publicly is far fewer than what's being credited to us. So if you look at, for example, like 8A or Woman Owned or HubZone, right? What's actually being posted online publicly, hey, we're looking for a HubZone company, we're looking for a Woman Owned, we're looking for 8A, they're fraction of what they actually quote unquote achieve. And why is that? Because again, if you win a bid that's full and open competition and you happen to be 8A, you happen to be woman, you happen to be hub zone, the government takes credit for that and then that counts towards their goals, right? I'm not here to determine what's right or wrong. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to say how we can make this a difference, right? Using Mindy, right? That's what I'm here for. And how this can make a difference for everybody watching this today, all 97 of you, okay? So again, there's two choices. You could cry about it, you could do something about it. And again, I chose to do something about it. And so what I'm encouraging us to do, right, is that my plan is to get Mindy, and that's why we have Mindy free and a Mindy Pro version in the hands of tens of thousands of small businesses, right? And what we plan to do is to surface market research opportunities, showing that there are two more capable small businesses so that we can force their hand to start setting aside more opportunities for us. Is that something that everyone can get along with? Is that something we can all get in line with? I'm going to stop there because I want to make sure people understand this, right? So the goal is to get more of us understanding the landscape and who's out there so we can essentially respond to more market research requests to get more opportunities set aside. And if we get 0.5% of the full and open pool, 571 billion, we could redirect $2.9 billion back to small businesses per year, which would sustain another 900 small businesses at about 3 million a year in revenue. Now, that is something I could get behind, right? All right. Thumbs up in the chat if that's something you can get behind. Thumbs up in the chat if that's something that you guys can get behind. Thumbs up, hearts, whatever. Okay. And so for me, when we go back to here, there's a lot of room in here for improvement. All right. But because we're not working together, and also the platforms aren't created to work, made us to work together, we're truly building something that, and again, you guys always know I've led with my heart first, and then, money comes afterwards. We're building something that if we can all get our friends and family and other businesses to use it, to sign up, and to at least get notified, right? We can get tens of thousands of people using it. Then we could start responding to the market research requests by the dozens. We could start surfacing opportunities. I'll show you what that looks like here. So in my intel, you see right here where it says hot right now, Army OTA request for proposal. There's two people, contractors looking at it. So it says you're not the only one. Sharpen your response before it closes. Because now, if all of you guys are getting notifications for things that you're looking at saying, hey, you're not the only one looking at this sources sought, throw your name in a hat, 20, 30, 40 small business throw their name in a hat. They can't ignore us, right? And so then we can ultimately flip these numbers, increase the percentages of what's being solicited. Now we're not asking what's being advertised as set aside, ultimately driving what's achieved goals. And then we can actually do this. I truly believe we can do this. All right. So again, pricing, I know people always ask about pricing. What does it cost? Right. So again, when you're looking at BD subscription services, government, Bloomberg, those guys, 20,000 a year, proposal writing, 10,000 proposal capture management, BD analyst, right? All these things, about $280,000. Mindy, we charge just $149 a month. That's for one seat pro version. And then we have a team version that's $499 a month. Again, all this on our website. I don't have to tell you this. But we also have a free version that costs you nothing that you can sign up for free. We are doing something because, again, I always like to, for people who stay with me, I'm creating a founder's lifetime one-time price. The founder's lifetime is $5,000. We're only gonna have 100 seats. For people who showed up today on Mindy Day, we're gonna, and my team's gonna put in the chat, we're gonna give a one-time lifetime access for $29.97. And that's gonna be open just for the next 24 hours. My team put the links in the chat. A solo shop that computes like a prime, a firepower of a BD department for the price of a phone bill. And again, getmindy.ai/lifetime is the link that you guys can go to sign up for that. Now, really quick before we go, we open up the Q&A and I start showing you some other stuff. Our goal is to change how small businesses win federal work forever, right? Two more ways that I can ask for your help for people that are sitting in today. Again, I know there's going to be thousands of you that end up watching this, right? Two more things that I can help where you can, one is start free, right? Just go to getmindy.ai, signed up, put your information in so we can start having that information and start looking at this because we suspect that in the very near future, we will be helping government with market research requests, trying to identify small businesses that are capable, competent, and have the capacity to do work. So that's the first thing. The other thing is you can earn 1 year free access to Mindy, right? We want to turn you guys into our army to go out there and help us because, again, part of building out and getting this into the hands of people, we need to reach out to groups and communities that are responsible for teaching and training you guys in small businesses. And so the Apex, I know, has their hand in the pot. So if you could, anyone out here, again, this is for those of you guys want a chance to essentially, if you can't do lifetime, that's okay. Earn your way in. If you can set up a meeting for me with your local Apex, SBDC, or Economic Development Office, facilitate an intro, then we can credit your account for 1 full year free of pro version. All right. There's my email on the screen. So again, if anybody could set up a intro, facilitate a meeting with me for their Apex, SBDC, or the equivalent, right? Economic Development Office, whatever you guys use. Um, then, because we want to be able to give them also access to their members. So if you can facilitate an intro for me, I'll credit your account with 1 year free of pro. And with that, we're going to open it up to questions. All right, Brandon, Sikander, Shanor, how we did?
Man, we rocked that one, man. We rocked
You
that.
guys, you thought I couldn't talk for an hour, huh?
Yeah, that's what we thought.
All right. Well, everyone else, how did we do? We did good? All right. Well, we try. We try. We try. Candace. So Candace is on the call. Candace actually reached out to me this past week and said that she was able to use Mindy to get notified of a SDVOSB set aside alert that she was able to catch in time, reach out to a sub, and actually respond to an opportunity that she would not have seen otherwise. So um, again, one thing that anybody who's been inside of many of my trainings and classes knows, I love taking away people's excuses. So y'all look, they've been saying for a long time, Eric, I don't know how to use Excel. I don't know how to use pivot tables. I don't know how to search, FPDS. I don't know how to find the office name. I don't know how to find the event. Y'all been saying that for a long time. All right. So let me real quick pull up this sheet. All right, of questions that we have for people. And then we can
So Eric's
talk
gonna
and
go over the
bring.
questions first, and
Okay.
then if there's any other questions, you guys raise your hand, and I'll unmute you, and I'll bring you up, and you can say whatever you have to say. But let him go through. We have a lot of questions on this piece of paper first.
We do have a lot of questions. And by the way, thank you guys for following instructions. All right. Nadina Jones, does it have access to SLED? No, we don't have access to SLED right now. This is strictly federal. What if you have two businesses that want to find contracts for? Does many allow for separation of briefs and dashboard data? Yes, we do. We do allow for separation of briefs and dashboard data. I think I showed you guys that, hold on, in the coaching module. So here, all right. So yeah, so again here, I use this company called Drone Monster, and I can work as Drone Monster, and then from there, I can start looking at opportunities for drones. And so here, this is what they're looking at. That's different from what I'm looking at on my profile, which is different from what Excel Construction is looking at in their profile as well. So yeah, you can definitely do that. That was Tanisha Blackella. And the first one was Nadina Jones. Derek says, does many track local and state? Nope, we don't do local and state. Again, so for those of you, I'm a big federal guy. So I play in the federal space for a reason. It's really hard for businesses starting off to do both state, local, and federal. Not saying that you can't do it. I just always encourage people that, when you play the federal game, it's just not like bid, 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 and throw stuff out there. This is more of a relationship type game. I mean, you can bid, which is fine, but I just find that now, what you can do is if you do have like a SLED opportunity that you want to put in here to use like through our proposal assist tool, you can do that, right? So you can add your own opportunities that you want to use to put them in here. But we don't actually pull in state and local. So yes, if you want to add in opportunities, you can add them. We just don't pull them in and track them automatically. And not that, by the way, I'm not saying that we can't do that in the future, but right now, what I've seen from state and local is it's all convoluted. So that's all different databases, different websites, different platforms. There's no consistency across it. Like if you're in Georgia and you're in Atlanta and then you're in Blackshear, Georgia may use this system. Atlanta may use this system. I'm in Florida. Well, I'm in Virginia now, but I was in Florida, Miami. We got 36 municipalities. If you're in Broward County, Florida, 32 municipalities, right? So every one of them has their own unique platforms, right? So I would say to you, anybody, if someone touts that they can track all of those state local opportunities, I would have to call BS on them just because there's so many platforms and so many things that I don't believe anyone who says they're tracking everything state local wise because if we just count the number, like Florida, and take the number of municipalities, locals, and state, you're probably looking at 500 to 1,000. So I don't know how somebody could track that for every state is proof of source, but you can put the information in here. Oh, sorry, I'm sharing the wrong screen. How many are included in the pricing for a company? So again, pro is 1 seat, team is 5 seats. For the screen, everything on my screen says tracking 0% of your life market. Not sure what that means. I'm not sure what screen that was you're on, Donita Winston. Can you create a company account, set multiple users on an organization? Will each user save searches be unique? This is Kennel David. Share global searches. Yes, we've addressed that. As many chat, they're limited on usage. Rolando, Macho, no, not right now. There's no limit on usage for Mindy chat. How many times, Eric, how oftentimes the incorrect next code is used? As many look at the keywords too. Yes, actually, the keyword Nadina Jones is used. So next codes, incorrect usage by us is very, very high for small businesses. This is one of the biggest mistakes that we all make is in using the wrong next code. And it's not our fault. Does anybody actually know what? And I know we might have had some contracting folks on here. I don't know if they're on here today. They've been on here before. But does anybody actually understand the difference between a NAICS code and a PSC code? Like, that is such a nuanced thing that most of us were never trained to understand that. Jacqueline Ward says yes. So the next code literally is, again, that's how they classify us as small business, right? But that is not how the government actually buys it. But we naturally gravitate towards using it because that's how they're classified. That's how opportunities are written. That's right. So like James Bank just told, PSC drills down past NAICS. NAICS it's a cast a wide net. But when you get into very specific things that you do, right, you'll find that the NAICS is very broad and it doesn't actually get you to the meat and potatoes of what you really want. So you really a lot of times, and again, even for me, this is a hard to explain. It's also, I can imagine it's hard to understand. But the point is, we do all of that heavy lifting so you don't have to. Okay. And then, yes, Nadina Jones to go, but your second question is yes, we use keyword searches because we found it to be more reliable, but we do have NAICS and PSC codes as fallbacks. So again, we do all three. We don't take a chance at all. All right. Um, Percy, what unique capabilities in your view most clearly differentiate Mindy from competing GovCon solutions? I brought that up here earlier in some slides earlier today. Um, and so, I'll be happy to bring it back up. That's a great question. Is one, hold on, let me see if I can find that slide for you, sir, in case you joined late. So, and again, I mean, I know that there's more solutions that are coming out all the time. So for me, this is how we consider ourselves stacking up. Again, so I mean, most people know the big players: Bloomberg, GovWin, Deltek, and Uninet, and then GovDash is like kind of like the new guy. The only one that I don't have on here is HireGov, which again, but from HireGov when I last used it was essentially again just data, right? So how do we compare ourselves to everybody else? Is most of the people, so SAM.gov, USA Spending, essentially single purpose tools, right? SAM.gov, find opportunities. USA Spending, find historical context. So they're only one purpose, right? ChatGPT, again, super smart, easy to use, but again, one purpose. GovCon tools on the right hand side, we consider ourselves in terms of ease of use at the highest tier. And then all in one highest tier, right? So ERP is great. Again, when you get to a certain size, yeah, Mindy might not be the right tool for you if you've got Salesforce, right? So if you're using Salesforce and you want an ERP system with that's $5,000 to $50,000 to essentially onboard you and tie it into your entire like staff of 400 people, then you probably want to go GovWin, Deltek, or Uninet. But if you don't have the ability to have a person to onboard you to integrate to an ERP system, then the only people that I could see really that would be similar would be HireGov or GovDash. Again, if you look up GovDash, they're also more of an enterprise tool as well. So they're designed for enterprise customers, which integrates into like your financial system, your accounting system, and those types of things. Where ultimately we out of the box gives you all the information that you need. By the way, I didn't even mention this is not on there for a fraction of the cost. Does anybody know what GovWin costs or Unet or Bloomberg? Does anybody know what those things cost? I know people that pay $20,000 to $60,000 and more for that. So I didn't even put price on the screen because I didn't want price to be the driving factor. I want it to be actual ease of use and encompassing everything that you need because nowadays, right, data is becoming more and more cheap, I guess is the way that I describe it. So the cost of the data and information is not the value. How you use it and simplify it for people to actually do, that's where the value falls. How many users are included? Okay, we did that. If you need partners or others in GovCon Giants, how do we put in a request? Um, if you need partners or others in GovCon Giants. So we still have Federal Help Center as our platform, Charlie. But again, we have phone number, we have an email access that you can reach out to us for anything that you need from GovCon Giants. All right, can Mindy pull in all the schedules and GSA, Seaport, Fed Connect, Unison, right? So right now, we have not attempted to pull in Unison Marketplace. We have not attempted to pull in Fed Connect. But Fed Connect information, I don't know if it has any different information that's already in here. Okay. Um, so I don't know that has any information that's different that's in there. So, and I don't really see the value of pulling in the schedules yet. Who's that, Nadina? So I haven't understood that. So I don't see the value of it. So for me right now, right, I would not know. Let's see. Shelly, does Mindy aggregate all opportunities you've chosen, respond to, and put it in Excel spreadsheet? Yes, you can export all your information into Excel spreadsheet. Can Mindy write the proposal? Yes, we already showed you we could write the proposal. On saved searches, can you create both shared saved searches and private user searches? Ken David, I don't understand that question. Can you create both shared saved searches and
What
private
they're
saved
referring
searches?
to is a Teams side. So on the team side, can they have a separate save search versus a global search? Can they separate the two? You understand?
On the team side.
On the team side, that's when you're going to describe the
No, the
team.
team, well, right now, and so on the team side, it's set up to work together on the same profile. So um, I would not set up a team side to do separate searches. If I wanted to do separate searches, I would have a pro version or I would have coaching on it, right? Because um, I would not set up a separate search for that. Can this be streamlined? I don't know what Jose says. Can this be streamlined with loyalty.gov? I don't know what loyalty.gov is, Jose. G. So I'm not sure what that is, Jose.
That's Zach's platform.
Okay, so OpenGov.
He rebranded.
Okay, so Jose, so OpenGov, that's the original platform that we built. And so for me, there were some things that we wanted to essentially add to that there were limitations of. And so this is why we decided to build a platform from scratch so that we can address all the limitations that were there. So, but I don't know, again, I don't know what features you'd want from it, but ultimately, I mean, I built that platform also in the beginning. So hey, I don't always say this stuff to people because, but yes, I mean, these are things that we did. All right. How do you maintain the Gov contracts? Jackie says, Lopez. Do you understand that question, Brandon? How do you maintain them?
No, I don't understand what they mean by that.
Jackie, I don't understand the question. Nadina says, are the hourly rates listed in the pricing module fully loaded? So the hourly rates listed in pricing module come from GSA schedule. Um, so I don't know, but because this is pulling from the GSA's tool, so I'm not sure if they're already fully loaded, Nadina. But I mean, that would be easy for us to figure that out, right? Like we could pull up the schedules and see if they're fully loaded and then address that. Okay. So if they're loaded rates, then there you go. Then answer your question. Because it's pulled from the rates that they gave on their schedules. I don't make up this information. I'm just giving it to you guys. So however if it's fully loaded, then it's loaded. That's a good question, Nina. How is our data and information protected? That's a very good question, Nadina. I'd be curious as to what are your thoughts about that? And the reason why I say that is because it's funny that these are questions that people ask like of me, but no one asks of ChatGPT or no one asks of Claude, how is their information protected when they use those sites? So I find it always interesting when they ask that of regular small businesses and not of Facebook or Instagram, or no one asks how they protect their data there. I'm always curious when people say that. Do you guys ask Facebook how do they protect your data when you have to put in your phone numbers and verify your face identity? You know, so I always just ask that question because we use all these tools. I've been using Google Sheets forever. I've never asked Google, how do you protect my data that I put in all my numbers into your Google stuff? Because it's Google's, right? Isn't that Google Sheets, Google's data, Google Docs, you know? But I'd be curious of how your thoughts are because I would like to ease some of my cybersecurity people's minds. So I kind of want to throw that back at you and say, what would you like to see? And then we can implement it. I'm not opposed to anything. So, I'm a man of the people, so I'm not opposed to anything. George Mack says, well, I'm not able to access the chat. I'm not sure, George Mack. What's the best way to use Mindy as a BD capture manager consultant with client support? James Banks, I showed you that. So, Nella, can we have Mindy identify more than one industry at a time? I showed you guys how to do that. Yes. James, what is a contractor protege program and how do I get into it? James says, Today is about Mindy. I'm not going to get into minute protege programs today. Sorry, James. I got too many people here uh, and too many people watching us online. Um, Jacoby says, would this potentially replace team proposals? I don't know what team proposals is, but yes, I would imagine so. Nadina says, how does proposal writing section incorporate amendments into the solicitation? It pulls out. By the way, Nadina, you have a lot of good questions. So maybe, you should be in one of our beta version people, right? If you're not already in there. How does it incorporate amendments into the solicitation? And Nadina's like, sign me up. Well, I gave you a way in. By the way, does everybody remember? I gave you guys a way in. Um, I gave you guys a way in. I gave y'all a way in. I'm gonna pull it back up on the screen. Hold on. I gave everybody a way in. Here. For those of you just joining us late, or those of you who forgot already because you're so excited, there you go. Right there. Nadina. Now I know I can expect Nadina to be the first one to reach out to me. Right, Nadina? All right. Good stuff. All right, let's see. I lost my chat. She said, we met a couple dozen times now. You should know me by now. I didn't say I didn't know you. I'm just saying, hey, I got 300 people. All right. Does Mindy have a step-by-step tutorial on it? Denzel, great question. And the answer is we do have an onboarding inside Mindy. We are working on tutorial videos inside Mindy. But right now, I'll show you what we've got. Uh, so yes, the answer is for now, Denzel, we do have an onboarding that basically what you do is you go through 6 steps and then it walks you through how to do the 6 steps. So how to set up your profile, how to first put in your proposal, how to put in your pipeline, how to add agencies to that. So when you first onboard on Mindy, yes, we do have a 6-step process and I will walk you through it after I get through these Q&As. If you're still here, Denzel, I'll be happy to walk you through it. All right. Nadina says, can you provide custom prompts? Um, I'm not understanding the question, Nadina. But I'll go to your next question. He says, how much support is there provided to get most out of the product? Is there training included? So again, if you watch our presentation in the very beginning, we're very big on training. So we've done lots and lots of training. I mean, I think we beat training like to death. So anybody knows us knows we're big on training. We still continue to support the Federal Help Center community. The difference is now training is to support you guys, not our primary focus in terms of how people come to know us. So you can no longer buy training from me, right? We are become a SaaS-based company first, meaning that platform first, training to support our users. So we still have weekly calls every Tuesday inside the Federal Help Center platform, right? So we still have our platform, Federal Help Center, where once you are, you have a subscription to Mindy, you have a license to Mindy, you will then get access to our Federal Help Center platform still. So this is what we'll be using to support everybody. And then in here, like you can see upcoming calls that are scheduled. So yes, Once you buy the license to Mindy and you have an active subscription to Mindy, or you have a lifetime purchase, then yes, you still will have access to our weekly coaching calls that I continue to host for all of our members. And then if you wanted to still have access to all the training and the videos and the content, all of that is still here for those of you who are interested. So yes, that is also another thing that distinguishes us from a lot of people is that yes, we still have a whole bunch of training content like our proposal writing surge bootcamp, where we brought in experts on how to write proposals, our contract vehicles bootcamp. So all of that stuff, we still have it in here in the platform. So yes, we fully support all of our users that essentially sign up with us, which again is a big thing for me because I don't think you guys understand. I actually want you to use it to get results. Like, I don't want you to use it and then have to throw it away after a month because you're like, hey, it didn't help me. All right. Um, so for those of you guys who are already lifetime members, again, check with our team because we have different levels of lifetime. So if you're already an existing lifetime member, check with our team to see what your status is. Because again, I don't know everybody's status. We have different sets of lifetime members. Brandon, Sikander, just put an email in there, a phone number they can call to check on their status of your lifetime membership and in terms of pricing. And that was for Reginald Hendricks. Jacqueline Ward, for your Pro Plan member, no, we're not moving the price up for you. Again, I love to honor anybody who's ever done anything for me in the past or supported us. So anybody who's in any of our programs now, everything stays the same. So I'm not changing anybody's pricing. So if you're a Pro Plan member, that continues to stay the same. I'm not going to bump it up. Sean Greer says, I'll be meeting my Apex next week. I'll show you what you offer. It looks good. And Sean, so again, what I want them to do is I want to set up a meeting with them because what we like them to do is offer at the very least a free version to their members. And then also we've got an Apex version where we help Apex accelerators essentially manage all of their clients and customers. The demo is on YouTube right now, Shelly. Okay. Again, James Banks, if you're a lifetime member, reach out to us directly. Somebody says, earlier reviewing a contract of Mindy for remediation work at Maxwell Space. I'm 20 minutes from there. I would like to review that contract and requirements from Fire Tablet. That's cool. Well, at least you know stuff is real. Ronald Thomas, what's the contact to get the paywall off my account? Again, everybody, the phone number and the email is in the chat. So contact us. Does the Apex version work for the incubator spaces too, potentially? I don't know. Now, Nadine, I don't know about the incubator spaces, but the Apex version does essentially track the things that the Apex is responsible for tracking that's specific to them and helps them develop the reports they need to justify their budgets. But again, don't worry about all that. Let me do the talking, okay? But I'll do the talking. Just set up the call. All right. Listen, right here. So these are the areas that the Department of Defense is holding Apex accountable for, is tracking the critical technological areas. So we help them to do that because what we'll do is for all of their clients, we'll track which one of those areas that they are sending to them so that they can get credit for that and submitting their reports to essentially to the government. All right. Again, if you're a Federal Help Center Pro member, you have access to Mindy Pro. Yes. Jacoby wants to set this up for other countries, US-based business for Mexico. So right now, it's already set up. We're already tracking other countries. We're tracking anything inside of SAM, and we're tracking anything inside of USA spending. So any information where the government is buying other side, we already have that. Mexico, Japan, Europe, that's already happening.
Really quickly, I want to pause for a second. I know Eric's kind of going through the questions kind of fast. If you signed up for Mindy Pro after today, I'm sorry, if you signed up for a pro member group after today, that does not get you Mindy Pro. I had some people try to sign up for the pro member group recently and to get Mindy Pro for 99 bucks. We are honoring our members who have
Correct.
already been with us. This is
Right.
not for anybody new trying to save 50 bucks. That is not what we're
Right.
trying to do. The people who've been with us and been
Come
with us
on.
in the group, we're saying, hey, listen, we're gonna throw that in with that because you've been with us and you've been supporting us. But if you
Right.
sign up for, I know when you sign up, so it's not a slick thing. If you sign up today or sign up tomorrow, I'm not gonna give you Mini Pro. That's not work
Yeah,
like that.
no, we're not going. We're not rich. By the way, I've seen something, and I never forget where I saw it one of the shows, but it says, "Why do we always try to get over our own community?" You know, you wouldn't do that at Dell Tech, you wouldn't do that at Bloomberg, you wouldn't do that at GovWin. And by the way, go look at their prices. Please do not take it from me. Go look at what they offer you for the value, and then you tell me, right, where you sit. Okay. Because again, and I did not bring up that we're talking about the value, ease of use, and what it offers. I don't want to compete on price because guess what? I might just raise the prices. After people start getting results, I might just be like, you know what? You're right. Because people have already told me it's too cheap. So I want you to know I'm leaving here. I'm about to go to this banquet, and the person there is currently using GovWin Deltec. They pay 60,000 a year for their subscription, and they want to convert over to Mindy. So when we put it side by side and we can offer a comparable value, we're too going to adjust with the marketplace. Same thing Netflix does to you, same thing every other subscription company does to you. However, as you see, because I'm an honorable person, I'm holding to people who stuck with me from the beginning, even people who bought something from me a year ago, right? Any of those people in the group, I still support those people. So when I say founding members lifetime, there's a lot of people here that can attest that I keep my word. So guess what? I keep my honor my word because I truly do believe, right? I'm gonna have to run across y'all one day at a conference, at an event. I don't want y'all to slap me, hit me in my face. I want y'all to run up on me like, hey. Nah, I'm out here. I'm outside. I'm gonna be at the event. I'm gonna be on stage. I don't want y'all booing me. I might be at a game one day. Y'all see me at the game and be like, that's that so and so. No. I keep my word, right? We've been very successful helping lots of people win contracts. I think everybody already knows that, right? You already know that about me. So you probably can't say, when people just think about when you're asking these things, right? I mean, I've tried talking to Dell Tech. They're hard to talk to. And I have a name and I have a reputation and the people know me, but I got to go through this senior person and this other senior person. So all I'm saying is, right, what if somebody comes to us and we merge with a much larger organization and they say, Eric, 149 is too cheap. You're bringing the market down. It should be 249. I don't want you guys to say, well, Eric, at the time, I'm like, okay, no problem. You
I'm
know,
gonna ask, I'm gonna ask one more thing before he continues.
go ahead.
Um, in reference of the Apex, I've seen some questions on YouTube about the Apex. It is for you setting up a meeting to introduce it to the Apex so we can show them Mindy as a solution. It's not a random meeting. It is. I listen. Why am I saying this stuff? Because I get all the silly requests. So I see all the silly stuff that happens and comes through. And not, I don't want to be that person, but I want you to understand the concept. What we're trying to do is we don't want to talk to Apex just so we can talk to Apex. We want to offer as a solution for everybody because we're trying to help everyone, all the small businesses. So it's an introduction to a meeting for Mindy to be used, saying, hey, listen, I went on a demo. They're great. They said they want to offer their services to Apex, starting off even for free. So it's an
Okay.
introduction meeting to an Apex about Mindy as a solution to help other small businesses. I want to make sure that's very clear and we don't go over that, braze over that. Sorry for interrupting, but I just wanted to say that part.
Someone says, what platforms many have been hosted on? So yes, we do host on AWS. That's a good question. Um, is there a script you'll provide to share with our Apex Accelerator? Yeah, we can get you a script. All right, that's all the questions I have on the sheet right now, Brandon.
Does anybody have any questions? If they have any questions, you can raise your hand and I'll allow you to speak at this time. So if you have any other questions, this will be the time to raise your hand. All right, Mia wants to ask a question. I'm going to unmute you right now, Mia. And you can just raise your hands in line, and I will call you out in line.
Now I know that name, Mia Hudson.
To do that.
I
Look,
Mia,
I'm super new here, but
I know I've never met you, but I've seen your name. You were one of the first people to sign up.
oh yeah, and I love it. I fell upon it and it was a wonderful sword. I'm so happy to be here. I'm learning a lot just from the platform itself.
I love
But my
it.
question is this, I'm a little confused, and if you've answered, Eric, please forgive me because I'm still confused about it.
That's okay.
But I've never I never accessed the Federal Help Center. Do I need to
Yes.
have a membership there? But I do have Mini Pro first. So do
Yeah,
I
so
need to
you should, yeah. So call us or email us, and then we'll make sure to get you access to Federal Help Center. Mia.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I appreciate
We
it.
you didn't do anything wrong when we did not tie it in. So we got to fix that problem.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. I'm
All
so
right.
happy to be here.
By the way,
Okay.
thank you. By the way, before I even did any demos or presentation, how did you even learn about how you learn about it?
Listen, I started this GovCon journey probably around February of this year,
Okay.
but I've been online learning a lot of stuff, Apex Center, YouTube videos, and of course, you are definitely in that ecosystem. So I ended up watching your videos and then getting to your platform and then seeing everything that you were offering, and I immediately invested.
Got you. Okay.
Okay,
All right.
thanks.
Cool. All right. No problem. All right. Question. I want to show something else that we did. I think. Let me see if I can make this work on screen. Um, so now what we've done is when we sign up and we onboard you. Somebody's asked my onboarding, right? So we describe my business. Let's put restoration. I'm gonna put. Let me see a state. I'll put New York since they won the championships. So what Mindy starts to do is, and this is again part of the onboarding process, it starts to build out your profile, right? And so now what you see is it says your market is ready. So your market is $2 billion. This answers the questions about your NAICS code. So remember people saying, well, how do I get the right NAICS code? So there's over 100 NAICS codes mapped to that price, right? 51 buying agencies, 1,600 contractors in your space, 11 forecasted buys, 1,100 recompetes, 1,100 reserve small businesses, 800 grant programs, 28 data sources, all in one market. You see how fast I did that? Like, oh, somebody just said, I just signed up. I love how I was able to pull in my SAM.gov profile. I didn't even show you that one yet. Like, I didn't even show you pull in your profile. But how could you ever do this before? I, I'm telling you, this stuff took me months to do. Look at that. Because again, it already mapped out all the sources instantly. So we call it the Slurpee. So put your information in, and it's like a Slurpee that just pulls everything out. It runs across all of my data sources, pulls it in, and now for restoration services, you have your whole market map. This is the stuff that, again, why now if you're wondering why you're losing, now you know why you're losing against other people. Because if they have access to stuff like this and you don't, you're at a disadvantage. It's like me having a plane and you still trying to drive to the location. Or better yet, I got a rocket ship. So this is why you're losing. So when you set this up, and I think it was Sonia that just went in, she said she signed up and it pulled her UEI. So now this is 8 NAICS codes, covers 90% of your market. Most countries choose one. Many map $2 billion across 100 codes. Top buy. Here's the PSC code. 11 forecasted by 600 million, 1,100 recompetes expiring in 18 months, 132 billion, 1,100 referrals for small businesses. Your work restoration services. Here are the codes. Here's the PSC. Here's also additional codes that might align with your work. I've chosen the state. Do you want to expand New Jersey? You want to add in some other states? This is what SAM doesn't do for you. People say, oh, SAM.gov sends me alerts. Does SAM.gov tell you what to pick, how to pick it? Does it cover your whole marketplace so you know that you're not missing anything? No, it can't. So again, it's data, not intelligence. And we're giving you intelligence, not data. $2 billion a year across these codes. Pick the PSC code for you. All right, finish my setup. Sets me up. You want to add your UEI? UEI pulls in all the stuff that you got on SAM. Add your UEI in there, put it in, it'll populate all your information. We'll pull it from SAM already. That is the corpus. That's what we're doing. That is the difference. That's pretty good. Yeah, y'all like it? Huh? Huh? So again, it's only going to get better. We're only going to continue to do more. So what else? Sundell has a question.
Hi, thanks, Eric. I just want to clarify once more. That's what I was asking earlier about the different business types. Like if you put in the information for, I don't know, badges or something, but then you're doing janitorial, it's two separate things. Do you take it out and then
So let me ask you this. Are you trying to track both?
Yes.
So then, I mean, I would add to it, not subtract.
Oh, okay. So just put them all together then.
I would put them all together.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's all I want
So
to know.
and under your market dashboard, I would just continue adding. So for example, so this is my other profile under my Gmail account. And someone asked about the onboarding. So this is what onboarding looks like. So it says first time here, start here. So we've already set up your profile when the onboarding. We've already put your PSC codes. Then it says build your target list, right? And so then this is where it goes in and it starts, okay, here's your market. It ran 28 sources across 300 agencies, right? It starts setting up your market restoration competency. So it starts building that for you. But for Shandela, for your question and your market map, so this is where you can add to what you're trying to do, in addition to what you already have. So when you put in like, I don't know, whatever you want to add,
Right.
put it here, it'll suggest the codes, and then you can add these additional ones to my alerts.
Perfect. Okay. I just want to make
All
sure.
right.
Excellent. Thank
All
you.
right. Yes, Denzel, I am pleased with myself because I know what it was like. You guys didn't suffer my pain before, Denzel. You did not suffer my pain. If anybody here suffered that pain of how hard it was to get this information, oh my gosh, my pain. All right. So someone just say, hey, I just signed up for annual membership. I'm a veteran. Service connected, disabled, worked for DoD 30 years, recently retired, program manager, systems engineer. I want to start my own consulting practice. All right. No, that's perfect. So the only thing is, guys, only thing that Nadina said she said she suffered. She knows. She suffered. She knows what anybody who did this the old way knows how hard it was. Nadine said she suffered. Oh yeah, Sonia, definitely upload your capability statements. That goes into the vault. So Sonia, what you want to do? Go down here, go to vault. All right, capabilities, add your capabilities. Any documents you want to upload, right here, click upload, and it'll go into your vault. And then that'll be used for your corpus when we're writing any of the actual responses. So for the answer to my man's question, Scott Thomas. So we got to get you, Scott, into Federal Help Center platform. So Federal Help Center is where we do all the support for everybody who has a license to Mindy. And that's where we'll provide the actual support to you guys, like the training, the onboarding, things like that. So Scott, anybody who signed up, I'll make sure to send an email. We'll get you guys access to Federal Help Center. Brandon, we put that on our to-do list of how to make that wired in automatically. And then Scott will provide you the support. But to answer your question, Scott, for you jumping into construction, first of all, I love construction. That's my favorite area. There's lots of opportunities for construction. We're literally always looking for people. It's one of the areas where there's the reason why I like construction. I mean, IT is similar. One is there's a lot of opportunities everywhere all the time. Like there's just a bunch of stuff. So I'll show you there's a bunch of stuff for it, but I'll log in through my account. So, by the way, Nadina, one of the things that we did do that I thought would help with security is allowing you to log in through Google or Microsoft. So then you're logged in through them as the verification, not through your own. So I thought that might help. That's why I did that. The tokens through Microsoft. We also, actually, now that I remember, we did do two-factor authorization at one point. But we took it down because like a lot of people don't like two-factor authorization, but I could put it back if you want to do two-factor authorization to secure your account. But going back to the construction question, like here, so like right now, you just don't get this many active opportunities for most items. So, you just don't get that. And it doesn't matter what city, what state, there's just so much activity going on in construction that I just talked to one of our students yesterday. He's doing 5 million a year. And he's like, Eric, he doesn't even feel special. And he's doing 5 million a year and making money just because there's just so much activity. When you look at expiring contracts, I mean, 700, maybe it's half of that. Maybe it's a quarter, but it's just so much activity all the time that it's kind of hard to not be successful in that space, right? Because the people that are in this space, especially if you're a program manager or a system engineer, the construction guys don't want to learn Mindy. They don't want to learn bidding. They don't want none of that stuff. They just want to price and do the jobs. So if you can understand and learn how to do the BD side, finding the customers, setting up the meetings, all that stuff, you're going to be a hero to the painter guy. You're going to be a hero to the AC guy. You're going to be a hero to the plumbing guy. They just want to do the work. All right. Sonia says, yes, I love that it was integrated with Google and Microsoft. Two-factor might be good as well. And SAM.gov, other platforms for security. Sure. Okay. See, Ken said, no, please, no two-factor authorization. Yeah. Like I don't like two-factor authorization. I hate typing in my freaking stupid codes. I hate going to what was it? What is that thing you have to go through? We have to put the name in. Like I hate all that stuff. I personally hate it. Like, cause it creates more like headache between me and, I wrote PWS, I managed teams, I managed spin, I did EVM, etc. So Scott, you're perfect for this. All right. Our admins are putting in a website in there. All right, what else? What else? I see 70 people still waiting on here. I mean, the best thing that I could say to you guys, jump in, start playing with it, set up your alerts. You know, get us, start tracking the stuff. Again, get involved, right? We're looking for feedback. It's like anything else, right? We know we're going to have some challenges. We're up for the challenges. I've done a lot worse things in my life than built tools that can help businesses. So, but we're excited for that. But, really for me, one of the main things that I continue, and I know we had 300 people sign up today. I really would like to, as we're wanting to leave you guys with this, again, these are real numbers here, right? These are real numbers. There's a real gap here in the marketplace. If we come together, we can help solve that gap. I actually built this tool for me that looks at like the set aside impact. And again, if we can move this needle, right, like a fraction of a percent, if we move this up where we start like responding to source of thoughts, working together collaboratively, don't think about yourself. If you could get more small business respond to source of thoughts as we onboard tens of thousands of users for free, not necessarily paid, just free, $600 million is not nothing to smirk about. I mean, that's just not nothing to throw your nose up at, right? That's 1/10, of a percent. Again, we get to 0.5%. We're talking about, even a quarter, like we're talking about lots of money here, right? Zero point 0.4 is 2 billion, right? 3 billion is 0.5%, all that stuff. So we can start getting to like a percentage. I mean, then we're like, it's crazy, but a percent is a lot. It's $5 billion, right? Look at the economic impact. $97,000 more on average for each of today's 58,000 businesses, 1,800 more small businesses sustained, right? At around $3 million toward rebuilding the bases. So again, I've always been like a purpose-driven kind of folk. That keeps me aligned with my overall vision of why I work so hard to do these things. Because, just doing something for the sheer sake of like monetary reasons has never been a great motivator for me to get out of bed. But knowing that we can, shift the industrial base and move the needle and track that's an incentive for me to let's do it. Let's make this happen. So I hope this has been helpful for everybody. Again, so Sonia already said, she goes, hey, so far I like it. I would definitely continue providing it says it reduced a few headaches I had on other platforms just to set up and search through already. And that's what I was saying, right? It comes out of the box ready to go, right? And that is what we talked about earlier in the presentation, where we said a lot of platforms, right? They're intelligent, but they don't have data. Like they have the information, but no brain, right? Or they have the brain, but no information. And so again, I'm a user, I'm a person, I do this all the time. So for me, right, I understand all that kind of stuff. And so I took that in mind and heart when designing the interfaces and the workflow, right? So again, as an active user, as someone who's been doing government contracts, continue to do government contracts, we're actively negotiating about $30 million in sole source right now, even amidst of all this crazy stuff. All the things that I'm telling you, that I'm showing you, I did is what got me to there, right? So I hope that you guys do the same thing. You take advantage of it. You take advantage of the resources. You take advantage of doing these activities because the money is real. The opportunities are real. The people are here. Support is here. You just got to, decide what you want to do with yourself. All right. Brandon, anybody?
Brandon's here.
Anything else we got, people? Anybody else? Anything else? Okay, Caleb has a question. Okay.
Yeah, hey there. Yeah, so of course it's a great federal tool. But is this also able to look at state specific contracts as well?
Yeah, no, Caleb, we don't have
Not.
state contracts. And I brought this up earlier, Caleb. I don't think, I've never seen it. And again, I've had subscriptions to tools that provide me with alerts for states. Because every state has their own platform, I find it hard to believe that someone could aggregate all that data.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Big time.
I mean, if you've tried to register for a state, like Brandon, when Brandon first came to work for me, his job was registering us for state contracts during COVID. That was his first job. You know how many portals you got to sign up for?
Hundreds.
Hundreds. So for someone to say they have a all-encompassing something, that I guarantee you, for the people who do that, there's a caveat, like a disclaimer at the bottom that says, "Hey, we don't have like this is represents a surface of the art, something like that." Like, you know how those big companies do stuff. They're like, "Oh, this is a subset of the market." Um, so I don't think anybody has solved that issue yet. But the other thing is, I'm a big believer of federal. Now, Caleb, again, if you surface opportunities, you can use Mindy to track it and put it in here. But I'm also a big believer of federal, which is what I made my name teaching, because I do believe that federal can change your life, whereas state can just make you a living. So I like life changing things. And I feel like if I'm going to, and again, I've learned this also as I gotten older, right? You hear these sayings where they say, if you're going to spend the next 5 years of your life working on something, why not work on something really big that counts than something small like minutia like? So I would encourage everybody listening to me, again, if you're going to work on something that's, big, I mean, or something that's, working on something that's bigger. Now, if your state contract or your state opportunity is for $1 billion stadium, Caleb, well, go for that. But I mean, ultimately, I don't believe that there are any states out here that and again, I don't know what your business is, but I don't believe there's any states out here that, oops, I'm sharing my whole screen. Hold on. That have the kind of potential that the Department of Defense has, meaning that when I look at these expiring contracts, I don't need all of them, Caleb. I need one, right? Karen, right? Brandon, right? Reginald, right? Like you only need to be on one vehicle. One of these vehicles will provide you with a $10 million a year revenue business. One vehicle. Any one of these, not all of them, any one. I don't need all of them. Any one of these vehicles I get on can lead to a $5 to $10 million a year business, which is where most of us, I think if we had, we'd be very happy with ourselves. So I just don't see a lot of that type of opportunity at the state and local level for me. So, all right. All right. Well, listen, if there's no more questions, everybody's heart's clear. I'm going to give you guys back your Saturday. Um, I got to run off to another event uh, and have some fun with some people and learn. But no, thank you guys for attending. Thank you guys for being here. You guys will get some more emails. I look forward to hearing from you guys in the coming weeks. We will be creating more tutorials on different feature sets and publishing that. And again, at the very least, I hope you guys learned something and took something away from this. So thanks, everybody. Thanks, Brandon. Thanks, Candace. Thanks, Shanor. Again, enjoy Saturdays. Go watch soccer or something. I don't know what you guys are going to do. I'll see you guys. I'm signing out.
All right, I'm gonna stay on. If anybody had any questions about signing up, about anything of that nature, I am still on. I am doing some help desk stuff right now anyway, so if you have any help desk questions, I'm right here. And I'll stay on probably until like 1 o'clock, so the next like 23 minutes.